I'll start with the mantra. Om Agyantimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshururmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtham Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagajatam Sagan Raghunatham Hitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sakrutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Shu Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute Tapta Kancha Gaurangi Nam Vrindavaneshwari Rijvanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataro Vishya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna devotees, today we will be reading chapter Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, Canto 1, chapter 15, verse 32. So, chapter 15 deals with when Krishna has left to his holy abode. And so, what exactly is happening with his devotees? So, Krishna and his devotees come together in this material world. They are not normal people. They are adbhutas, like they are born with Krishna. They come to the material world with Krishna, and they leave the material world with Krishna. So there is no birth and death for them. So we start this verse with Nisamya Bhagwan Margam Samstham Yadu Kulasya Swapatya Mahim Chakre Nirbhatma Yudhishthira. Nisamya, deliberating. Bhagavad, regarding the Lord. Margam, the way of his appearance and disappearance. Samstham, end. Yadukulasya, of the dynasty of King Yadu. Cha, also. Swa, the abode of Lord. Pathya, on the way of. Matim, desire. Chakre, gave attention. Nirbhart Atma, lonely and alone. Yudhishthira, King Yudhishthir. Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's return to his abode, and upon understanding the end of Yadu dynasty, earthly manifestation, King Yudhishthir decided to go back home, back to Godhead. Maharaj Yudhishthir also turned his attention to the instruction of Bhagavad Gita after hearing about the Lord's departure from the vision of earthly people. He began to deliberate on the Lord's way of appearance and departure. The mission of Lord's appearance and disappearance in the mortal universe is completely dependent on his supreme will. He is not forced to appear or disappear by any superior energy. As the living beings appear and disappear, being forced by the law of nature. So all the living entities in this world appear based on the karma that they have done in their past lives. And like we read in the previous verses, sometimes they are destined to get killed also because they have committed some abominable activities. And Krishna comes in the heart and tells the other living entity, now you have to kill. So that way Krishna reduces the burden of the earth. So this verse tells us like Krishna doesn't come on this earth, you know, for any external reasons or under anybody's control. He comes for his own reasons. So as we were discussing, we want to keep it interactive. I want to ask everybody, why does Krishna appears on this earth? Maybe. Okay.
This is from Bhagavad Gita. What about Chaitanya Charitamrita? Why does he come? What is the internal reason for God appearing, Krishna appearing here in this material world? He want to experience the love of Radharani. He want to experience the love of devotees. Killing of demons is like he can just even doesn't have to flick his finger. He can kill all the demons in this whole world. And as we are in Kali Yuga, so what used to happen in different yugas, you can clearly define there that this person is a demon, this is the Devta. In the Kali Yuga, everything is merged into one another. Now what happens? The same demon is present in the same person. So Krishna has come or incarnated as a Maha Mantra, which is gonna kill the demon in your heart. So that's one of the reason of coming. And as Alankar Prabhu said, so another reason is like devotees. So devotees love Krishna very much. Krishna loves his devotees very much, and he can go to any extent to please his devotees. He doesn't care. He can go to any extent. So we were reading a verse, a very important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, verse 14, chapter 14, verse 16. Nirapeksham munim santam nirveram samadarshinam anurvarjami aham nityam puryayeti angrivenavaha. So what Krishna says, with the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material world. So he is taking the dust from the devotees' lotus feet. The kind of position he is giving to devotees is unparalleled. Another, Sanatan Goswami, he gives a commentary on Damodar Ashtakam. What is that tika? Divgarmam tika. There is one tika. So he describes Krishna. How does he describe Krishna? A child who's running away, and I can only see his sprinkling kundal, like the earring of his ear. This is my God. This is my Lord. He is the controller of universe. But how does he describe him? As a small child who's running away, and only thing he can see is a small kundala which is shining like a diamond. And why is it shining? Because it is getting the reflection of Krishna. So kundal is beautiful, and it is kissing the cheeks of Krishna, but it is shining from the effulgence or the Brahma effulgence of Krishna. So this is how our Lord is described. He's not, although people describe him as very powerful, all the good opulences, but this is the aspect from the devotee's perspective which is so important. Krishna can go to any extent for his devotees. And who are his devotees? What are his devotees? What are their characteristics? So one time Krishna has a headache, and you know he's it's all Leela. So he shows, I'm having a very bad headache, and nothing in this universe can cure me. So Lakshmi Devi comes and she asks, how can I cure your headache? So Krishna says, can you get the dust of the lotus feet of any of my devotees? So Lakshmi Devi travels in the universe. She goes to Brahma. She goes to Shiva. Nobody is ready to give the dust. They know who is Krishna. If we take the dust, we'll burn in hell for infinity. I mean, it's such a big path. Then she's wandering around, wandering around. All of a sudden, she finds a set of gopis sitting there, and she asks them, "Can you give me the dust of your lotus feet?" So gopis, okay, take it. So gopis, the devotees, the characteristics of devotees are they are willing to go millions of years in hell to please Krishna. For them, hell or heaven doesn't matter. Like say, for example, we hear the pastime of Chitraketu Swami. You've heard the pastimes of Chitraketu Maharaj? So, there is a story, he was not having a kid, and that's one part of the story. There is one part of the story is Chitraketu Maharaj, after getting all the Brahma knowledge, so he's wandering in the universe. All of a sudden, he sees Shiva sitting on his, he's a very normal asana. He will sit on lion's, what do we say, skin, and Parvati is sitting on his lap. So the moment he sees him, what he says, "Oh, this is Yogi in a company of his wife who's sitting on his lap." So Shiva is all merciful. He's the biggest devotee of Krishna. So he doesn't get offended. It doesn't matter to him. So he knows, Chitraketu Maharaj is joking and he takes it in a very light mood. But Parvati Mata, she gets offended. Oh, my husband is such a big yogi. He's a Yogeshwar. And, Chitraketu Maharaj is saying that, that he's sitting, a woman is sitting in his lap and all those things. So she gets offended and she says, okay, you become a demon in next life. You go through hellish conditions. So then Chitraketu Maharaj describes, see, in my heart there is Krishna. Whether now you take me to a hellish condition, I am roaming around the world, sometimes in hellish condition, sometimes in extreme opulence. But what is there in my heart is not going to change. I'll always be peaceful. And you accept this curse as a blessing. So this is the nature of devotees of Krishna. And previously I described the nature of Krishna. So you know how strong feeling that is, how wonderful it is to be a devotee of Krishna. It's not about Krishna consciousness is not about austerity. It's not about, of course, we need to follow rules. There are rules which is given by acharyas, we follow. But essence is love for Krishna. So what is the topmost? Although I should not be speaking on the topic, but I dwelled upon it. I came across it, and it exists. This topic exists. What is the definition of Bhagavad Prem? What do you mean by Bhagavad Prem? So anybody can like to dwell upon that? Yeah, love of Krishna. What does it mean? What is the characteristics? Yes, yes. But what? How does that love looks like? How can you describe it? Of course, we cannot describe it in our own language, but there are some sages who have described it, like great sage like Narad Muni has described it. So Narad Bhakti Sutra, you can just remember this sutra. It's 54, Sutra 54. He says Guna Rahitam. That means devoid of material qualities. Kamana Rahitam, devoid of material desire. Prati Shan Vardhanam. So the characteristic of this Bhagavad Prem is it keeps on increasing. It's not like I love somebody today and tomorrow I don't care about him. So today I love him a little bit, tomorrow I love him more, day after that I love him even more. So it's continuously increasing. So that is Bhagavad Prem. Avichinna. So Avichinna means uninterrupted. So this is continuous. You turn on the tap. If the water is full, it will continuously flow. So once you have Bhagavad Prem in your heart, it would be continuous. It's not gonna break down. It's a continuous. Like you will never be away from it. So the Uttam Adhikaris, you see, they are in that exalted stage. They are continuously in love with Bhagavad Prem. So then Sukshim Taram, like it's very subtle. You cannot explain it in words. Say for example, you made a gulab jamun, very amazing gulab jamun, but there is a deaf and dumb person. You gave him to eat it, and he ate it, and then with your indication, you're saying, how's the taste? Tell me how's the taste. So what he'll say? He'll do, that's all he's gonna do, right? He cannot explain. So this frame you cannot explain. You can experience, but you cannot explain to anybody. So Anubhav Rupam. Anubhav Rupam implies it can only be experienced. It is subtle and it can only be experienced. So this is the love of Krishna. This is Bhagavad Prem. This is such an exalted position. So we'll come back to the topic again. So so as we were reading the verse, whenever the Lord likes, he can appear himself from anywhere and everywhere without disturbing his appearance and disappearance in any other place. He is like sun. The sun appears and disappears on its own accord at any place without disturbing its presence in other places. The sun appears in morning in India without disappearing from the Western Hemisphere. The sun is present everywhere and anywhere all over the solar system. But it so appears that in a particular place the sun appears in the morning and also disappears at some fixed time in the evening. So sometimes people, the speculators, they say, oh, Krishna took material birth in a body and he disappeared. So this verse clearly, denies that. So what's the verse in Bhagavad Gita? It's a question. Which verse which says that fools deride me when when I appear in the human body of the form? Avjanat mam mudha manushtaram ashratam param bhavna ajananto mam deva maheshwara. So that verse tells clearly who is Krishna. Normal people cannot understand Krishna. Okay. The time limitation even of sun is of no concerns. And so what to speak Supreme Lord who is the creator and controller of the sun. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that anyone who factually understands the transcendental pastimes and disappearance of the Lord by his inconceivable energy becomes liberated from the laws of birth and death and is placed in the eternal spiritual sky where Vaikuntha planets are. So, whoever knows Krishna in his form, in his activities, who's able to understand, that means a person who has given up his false ego. So we have gross body, we have subtle body, mind, intelligence, ego. So when you give away your false ego, when you stop identifying you as the material body with your material body, and you know your true spiritual nature, and with your true spiritual nature as a servant of Krishna, when you think yourself to be a servant of Krishna, when you understand your true spiritual nature, that's where you understand the transcendence of Lord, you understand his activities, and then you do not have to take birth here again. And birth here is not a good birth. This is not a good birth. But even birth in a higher planets is not a good birth because there is so much opulence. Even in the lower planets, there is so much opulence that you will not focus on bhakti. But if you're born here in this earth, here there is troubles. Like say for example, Kunti Maharani, she says, give me distress because in distress, I'm gonna remember you more. So when I have good condition, I do not remember Krishna. When I am under distress, I remember Krishna. So she asks for distress. There are devotees like this. Of course, I am not like that. I'm speaking from a very I'm reading from a very elevated devotee's perspective. So and that's how it is. So because there is no death, there is no birth. It can be concluded that therefore that simply by understanding Lord's appearance and disappearance in truth, one can attain the perfection stage of eternal life. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthir also began to considering going back to Godhead. Lord appears on this earth or any other mortal planet along with his associates who live with him eternally and and the members of Yadu family who were engaged in supplementing the pastimes of Lord are no other than his eternal associates, and so Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brother, mother, etc., since the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and his eternal associates are transcendental, one should not be bewildered by the external features of appearance and disappearance. So that's what they are saying. So devotees, they are in transcendental mode; they never appear, disappear. Another very important point, which is stressed here, is sadhu sangha. So there is a verse. I don't know. Have you heard about sadhu sangha ashtakam in Srimad Bhagavatam? So let me tell you which verse it is. It's a very important verse. Dravida Prabhu he told us. So he asked us to remember those ashtakam. It starts with prasangam majram pasham atmana kavyo vidu saeva sadhu shukrito mokshvar pavritam. So what it means, every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But at the same attachment, when applied to a self-realized devotees, open the door of liberation. So what this essentially means is, from our own endeavor, if we stay alone, say for example, we are doing the bhakti, staying alone in our home, the growth is very slow. It's not gonna, you'll get great difficulties. But if for a fraction of second you get an association of an elevated devotee, they can lift your consciousness from here to there all of a sudden, and they can impart a beach of bhakti in your heart. So our heart is filled with a lot of seeds of sin. So when we associate with elevated devotees, even for a fraction of seconds, those seeds get destroyed. It's like a weed killer, so which is applied to your heart, and there are some seeds which are planted. One seed of bhakti gets planted in your heart, and it starts growing. Of course, you have to nurture it. After that, you have to nurture it. But that's what it means. There is another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 23, 55, which says, Sangoya samastir hetur astu vihitu vidya sa eva sadhu shukrito nisanghar nisanghatva kalpate. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. But the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. So even if you meet, say for example, Narad Muni. So you know the story of Valmiki. So Valmiki is the community who like does shikar, like they'll hunt and they'll live. So Narad Muni, so Valmiki came in association with Narad Muni, and he gave him an instruction. First, he asked him, so when you're, killing these animals, will the sin go to you or to your family, because you're also supporting them? So he went and he talked to his wife. His wife said, no, 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 you are responsible. I am your wife. I'm just fulfilling your desires. So it will go to you. So he gets disturbed. Then he comes to Narad Muni. So Narad Muni tells him, okay, you start your purification by chanting the name of Ram. Just say Ram, 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 Ram. But what happens is, Narad Muni, when he instructs him, this guy has committed so much sinful activity that his tongue is thickened and he cannot speak Ram. So Narad Muni tells him, okay, you say Mara. Mara means death. You say Mara. When you keep on continuously get speaking Mara, 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 it always converts into Ram, 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 Ram. So that's how he got his salvation and he wrote Ramayana. So, yep. So association of saintly person is so much extremely important. Okay. Let's move on to the second verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, um, Canto 1, chapter 15, verse 33. Pratapi anusrutya dhananjayauditam nasam yadhunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekant bhaktaya bhagavati adokshje nirvisita atmo paratma rama samshte. So Pratha is Kunti Devi, Api also, Anusrutya, overhearing. Dhananjaya is Arjun. Uditam, uttered by. Nasam, end. Yadunam, of Yadu dynasty. Bhagvat, of the personality of Godhead. Gatim, disappearance. Cha, also. Tam, all those. Ekanta, unalloyed. Bhaktaya, devotion. Bhagavati, on to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Adokshaje, we would have heard many times. This is transcendence. This is an important word. It comes multiple times. Adokshaje. Nivesita Atma, with full attention. Niveshita is like you have invested into something, that means Niveshita. Atma, invested into the soul. So that means you're hearing with full attention. Uparama, Upara Rama, became released from. Samstray, material existence. Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna telling of the end of Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in devotional service of transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence. So there is a difference when a distress comes to a materialist versus when a distress comes to a devotee. So if a distress is coming to a materialist, suppose you get a big disease. So first thing, of course, both of them get disturbed. It's not like that they will not get disturbed. First thing they will do is they'll start cursing like anything that they can find in the earth. That somebody, they find a reason, somebody else is responsible. But what devotees do is they initially get a little bit disturbed. Devotees are also like, they're at different level of consciousness, they get disturbed. But the moment they get distressed, you scratch the surface of a devotee, right away you find surrender to Krishna. The moment you scratch, say for example, I scratch Alankar Prabhu, Krishna will come in his heart. So that's the nature of all devotees. So that's why the association of devotees are so important. When you are under stress, any devotee under stress, you scratch them, you see Krishna, that's it. No, but I mean, see, for Krishna, the time is not doesn't exist for Krishna. Yeah, for us, for temporarily, it is existing, but all the devotees who are there would be at the topmost stage one time somewhere in the future. That is guaranteed. Krishna has guaranteed, and that too through his devotee he has taken this. So he never, he can break. Krishna can break his promise, but he cannot break the promise of his devotee. So he asked Arjuna to declare it boldly. He doesn't declare it boldly. He said, Arjuna, you declare it boldly that my devotee shall never perish. That is the promise we are living with. So there is nothing to worry. Only thing is we have to, follow the four regulative principles and yeah, and devotee and another important thing is not to commit Vaishnava Aparadh. This is the most important thing. Vaishnava Aparadh, it should not be taken easily. Maybe we should sometimes, if we think like our speaking can offend somebody, we should speak less. Maybe indirectly, even if we get a chance, we should be so careful. We should never commit a Vaishnava Aparadh. Sometimes that happens, we are weak. We get in a weak situation and we say something. Okay, even if you do, then when the Vaishnav to whom you have done Aparadh, give him the most, best prasadam you can cook for him. Do service. Because when this feeling of, the bad thought disappears from the Vaishnav heart, then only you are, freed from that aparadh. So that's why we have to be so careful with the devotees. Okay. The setting of the sun does not mean end of the sun. It means sun is out of our sight. Similarly, the end of mission of Lord on a particular planet or universe only means that he is out of our sight. The end of Yadu dynasty does not mean that they are annihilated. It disappears along with the Lord out of our sight. As Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to prepare to go back to Godhead, so also Kunti decided, and thus she fully engaged himself in transcendental devotion service of the Lord, which guarantees one, a passport for going back to Godhead after quitting this present material body. So the moment we get this material body, death is guaranteed. But like the verse I quoted I just want to re-quote it again. Sorry, it is so impressive that I have to quote it again. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. Death of a devotee. Death is stopped as soon as you take Krishna consciousness very seriously. Immediately from that point, as soon as you are initiated, you promise before the spiritual master, yes, I am initiated. I shall act like this. I'll follow the four regulative principles. I'll never disobey my spiritual master. I will treat him with the same respect I treat Krishna. The moment you start following, no more death. No more death. This is said by Prabhupada. He's Jagat Guru. He's saying that. Don't take it lightly. There is no more death. Simply an official business, just like you sleep and you awake. Similarly, a devotee's death is like that. It is like sleeping, and next moment in the spiritual kingdom, immediately. Immediately. When he will rise, he will see that I am with Krishna, I am with Krishna. Devotees like me, we read things. We know things through reading. But Prabhupada was actually seeing it. He's not reading. He's not, when he says Krishna, he knows who's Krishna. He's seen him. When he says Narada, so even any small demigod comes to this, planet. Our planet is considered like, a place wherein we focus on our bhakti and we get out of it. It is designed in such a way that material energy is gonna frustrate you so that you finally exit this planet. It is designed naturally. You do anything, you become a millionaire, you spend time, you watch movies, you do whatever activity. Ultimately, it's gonna frustrate you. It's not forever. And think about it. Like, see, have any one of you seen permanence anywhere? Have you seen a permanence? Anything permanent? Yeah. Why do you have a desire for permanence then? If you have not seen something, say for example, a diamond, a precious stone exists in Antarctica, which we have never heard about it. So our desire will not exist for getting that stone because I have never heard about it, right? So when you have never seen permanence, why? So when we have never seen permanence, how does that desire appear in your heart that even in relationships, I should have a permanent, like say you have a baby, little girl which is born, and you see she's so innocent. There is nothing, she doesn't have any power on her own. She's completely dependent on you, and your heart melts, and you want to permanently protect her. You don't want to temporarily protect her, right? At least in material consciousness, I'm saying, not from spiritual consciousness. So you have seen permanence. You have been with Krishna. You know what it is. You understand the nature. It is lingering at one of the deepest thought in your heart. It is lingering at one of the deepest thought in your heart. And in everything you need permanence. May this good time go on forever. So you have seen that one of your lives in spiritual world before falling, doing a fall down, then you came into the Brahma position, then you became a living entity. You have seen permanence. And that's why this is the most deepest desire of permanence. The beginning of devotional service to the Lord is the beginning of spiritualizing the present body, and thus an unalloyed devotee of the Lord loses all material contact with the present body. So devotee, like when they do, so akarm, vikarm, and karm, akarm, vikarm. So what is the difference between karm, akarm, vikarm? Yes. So we have got this material body. Our soul came in touch with the material existence, and it got those material desires, and we committed lot of karmas. So there are good karmas and there are bad karmas. So as long as you have bad karmas, you will stay in the material world. As long as you have good karmas, you'll stay in the material world. One is iron chain, another is golden chain. But there is an activity called akarma, like activity wherein do you in your heart you do a yagya for Yajna Purush, which is Krishna. If you start doing a yajna in your heart for Krishna, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, like all the 9 devotional activities, then you start generating akarma. Akarm burns out vikarm as well as karm. It will burn out your bad activity. Also, it will burn out your good activity so that you don't have to take birth in material world. Okay. The abode of Lord is not a myth, as just thought by unbelievers or ignorant people. But one cannot reach there by material means like Sputnik or space capsule. We know that we cannot reach abode of Lord through a spaceship. We can only certainly reach there by leaving the present body, and one must prepare himself to go back to Godhead by practicing devotional service. That guarantees a passport for going back to Godhead as Kunti adopted it. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarobhisya kripa sindhu evacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Please forgive me if I have not spoken according to Shastra anywhere. Consider me as a small child or a brother who is trying to learn Bhagavatam. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Huh? So in previous life, she was a devotee. She got a boon that yeah. So this verse does not describe, but we know the activities of Kunti. So she was a mother of the Pandavas, and she was a relative of Krishna. Was he right? Auntie, yeah. She was auntie of Krishna, and she was very attached to Krishna. She had a lot of affection for Krishna. So whenever a bad time came, she ran towards Krishna. So when she came to know Karna is his son, when she recognizes, who's the first person she contacts? And just imagine a mother whose eldest son and his younger son are trying to kill each other. What is going to happen to that mother? Even at that time, she takes refuge of Krishna. Krishna, Madhav, you decide. Madhav, you decide. You tell me. And then Krishna goes to Karna. You take the kingdom. Yudhishthir is gonna surrender the moment he knows you are his elder brother. Then Kunti. Yes. It's not there in these verses. Yeah. I can speak from my knowledge, but not here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening patiently. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any suggestions or questions? Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. Jai. Jai. Hari Bol.